Hey Jeff, I'm trying something new. I am just cleaning up shop, but I am wandering around with a lav mic on. So let me know if the vocal is too quiet. I've also got music playing in the background. Let me know if that's overwhelming or annoying or whatever. But audio's good. Cool. Thanks. All right. There we go. That'll do. I am wiring. That's what I'm doing. Oh. So it's basically going to be a stream of a lot of grunting, if that's okay. I don't expect anyone to stick around, but I just thought I would do it because I'm on vacation. All right. Nord is unbalanced. I'm wiring all the audio in. I'm trying to remember which synths are balanced and which synths are not. I have it written down. All right. The wave is unbalanced and the summit is sort of balanced. So I need, that's the problem when it's this messy. I've lost track of where all my crap is. All right, that'll do. Let's see. That's one. Putting everything in the patch bay here. This is two. Right. I'm not a big fan of the whole crawling around on the floor. So there we go. Two. Balanced. You worked? The kids are down? Nice. Too tired for music making? I got nothing's wired, right? There's a new interface going to go in here Christmas morning. And so over there, let's see. I'm not sure what the camera can pick up. Actually, hang on. Let's do this. Give me a hint at least. Pardon me while I shuffle some things around here. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see it. So that down here is where that's an interface that all of these are going to feed into. There's a blue Ethernet cable running around the room back to there. That rack will have eventually on Christmas morning a new AVB interface. So the goal is to have all of the big synths available to play as needed, right? If guests come over, I want them to be able to just turn it on and play, have them come through the monitors. And so having a single Ethernet cable running all the way around the room, a little Cat 6, so much easier than trying to run all those pairs around and keep them running. So we just went to the grocery store, actually. And you'd think it would be a zoo. Yeah, it just makes that work, yeah. I thought the grocery store would be a zoo. My wife was like, we need to go and do an Amazon return and we need to pick up groceries. And I thought it was going to be a nightmare because, Christmas shopping and just people out in the business, but it was dead. So it was easy. We got in, got out. She's out there making Christmas cookies and I am rewiring. So now I need, let's see, balanced cables. Balanced cables. So you know what I would pay money for? I would pay an extra $50 on every synthesizer if they would label the jacks on the top of the panel along the back. Because I cannot, on the Summit in particular, it's like my eyes are bad and it's back there and I end up having to take a picture, right? Or I suppose I could pull the manual out. But For the life of me, I cannot remember, because it's not the first two jacks, it's like one of the middle ones. It's really annoying. All right. Come here, you. Turn it around. All right, so if we count, yeah. Pedal, pedal, inputs, main, aux, and then headphones. So going from right to left, it's headphones, then aux left and right, and then mains. So annoying. All right. So jacks 4 and 5, basically. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's right. Anyway. I'd imagine, let's see, cell phones are modern boards. Yeah, they are. Yes, they are. That and the two, I'd say the two most used studio tools in my studio is my phone for seeing behind things and the robot claw for when I don't feel like bending over. Because the whole stooping thing is less and less fun. Let's see. There's one. Oh, hang on a minute. That's not right. Huh. I've got an extra cable back there. What the hell is this? Oh. Huh. And then there's mystery cables. I didn't even know that was back there. This is a headphone extension cable. All right. So how's your new cockpit coming, Jeff? Now that it was rejiggered. You happy with it? Need to pull off the whole rack in the middle before and then I can get behind it. That is true, but that's sort of a non-starter. I have limits to how much effort I'm willing to put into the neatness. It's a pretty low bar too. Like you guys who like make custom cables for everything, exactly the right length. It's impressive and I'm envious, but I'm just not that motivated. MPC and guitar, hey man, that's a clean room. You're in Cable Madness 24/7? Well, the cables are all in the bins. There are no cables yet. That's what I'm doing now. So, larger than mass. Let's see. Rewiring my stuff is laborious, but the results always make a difference. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, do you guys make custom cables or you just find ones that are the appropriate length? And then, if it's got excess, do you coil it up real neat and tie it off? Or do you just leave it as a rat's nest behind it? I'm in the rat's nest camp for the most part. Yeah, spaghetti. So, hey Doug. So, just been super busy, end of the year. Do people try and cram stuff in at work? Is that what it is? Or just life is busy for you at the end of the year? New desk setup is working out great, cool. 3 times the premium? Yeah. I'm unwinding at this point. This is officially vacation. So, I even turned off notifications from work. I hope nothing explodes. So. All right. On. HydroSynth has balanced outputs. So I need a balanced cable. This is the problem is from the days, so I used to run this quadraphonic live rig, and I carried like, 50-foot, 100-foot cables. This is not 100 feet, this is like 50. But I had all these balanced cables for the quadraphonic rig, and I still have them, but I don't have any short balanced cables. So like the Hydrosynth here has balanced outputs, so I want to use balanced cables, but I'm gonna have all this excess laying around on the floor behind it. So, although does it really matter? I mean, my studio doesn't have a ton of RF. I've never had an radio frequency like problem, the sort of thing that balanced cables is supposed to fix, or prevent. I've never had it happen, right? I don't know if that's because I use balance when I can, but I'd say half, at least half my synths, better than half, 2/3 are all unbalanced cables, just instrument cables. So I don't even know what I would be looking for. But anyway, the upshot is I've got balance cables that are way too long, and then I've also got balance cables that are way too short, and I got nothing in between. So I don't know. You got goals for the end of the year, Jeff? Crunch time. I'm sorry. Ours kind of slows down at the end of the year because everybody knows that everyone's going to be going on holiday. So I guess this will do. Unplug and reorganize and set it back up. So the idea, so for Christmas I'm getting a new audio interface, right? So that's coming in, and one of the nice things about that interface is it'll do network audio. And so down on the floor, you can't really see it, down here at the bottom, that's a big old network audio input device. It's a Motu, a 24AI. And so all these synths are just going to plug into that. And then I've got one Ethernet cable running around, and the new interface will be over there. And that'll be a convenient way to get all that across without having to run a ton of these things, right? But that won't happen till Christmas because, the interface is a Christmas gift, so it's sitting under the tree, But Jeff says, my synth's noise floor is a bigger issue than the RF. Yeah, that's true. Like the modular is definitely the noisiest thing in the studio, right? And it's supposedly relatively quiet. So, Studio 8 Effects, greetings. Doug says, I've got a Motu 624 that you could tell me if I need. No, I'm good. I'm a Motu fanboy for sure, but no, I'm all set. So, larger than mass, you're a ham operator, so you get RF and everything. Yeah, my station is in my studio. I can imagine. There's definitely certain hobbies intersect, right? Like for some reason, I won't say most, but a large number of my synth nerd friends are also ham people. I was never a ham guy, but I respect it. So, how is Motu support? What interface? Hey, Uncle Chrome. What interface is sitting under the Christmas tree, or what interface is on the floor behind me? How is Motu support? Motu support is hit or miss. I haven't had to use it because it just kind of works. Once I called Motu support for a network switch that the lights were blinking in a way that implied that the AVB stuff was having problems. Turns out that the manual I was reading was out of date, and they clarified that for me. And that only took a little back and forth, like a couple emails and one phone call. So that was a good experience, but it wasn't like a mystery, why is my interface not working, right? It was like hey, I'm seeing weird behavior on my network switch lights, but the system's working, what's this, right? So it wasn't like an emergency. But I've heard horror stories, but that's on the internet, right? So nobody gets on the internet and says, hey man, everything's perfect, I got no problems, right? They only get on the internet when they're like, this shit is broke, somebody help, right? So I don't know. So Doug, I don't have a leg to stand on as far as saying Motu support's good or bad, but their new gear is pretty solid. Their old gear was solid mostly if you had the right drivers, but now I think they've ironed it all out. MPC and Guitar says, my pedal board is the worst. Changing over to line 6, all-in-one pedal for guitar work. Yeah, I mean, if it's all in one pedal, right? It's like a multi-effect. I've got a bunch of pedals in there that, my problem with pedals, I love pedals. I have a big collection. The problem is the power. As soon as you add more than a couple pedals, the overhead of all the power infrastructure is just a pain and it sucks the fun out of it for me. So when I use pedals, I'll like pull one pedal out, stick a little tiny, 9-volt power supply. That's all I'm adding. Connect the synth through the pedal to a thing, right? And play with the pedal for a bit. But like as soon as I chain more than 2 or 3 pedals together, the power infrastructure makes me go nuts. So, hey Garen. So, Under the Tree, Uncle Chrome. I've got a, Under the Tree is a new interface for Christmas. It's a Motu 848. And so I'm pretty excited about that. All right, here's another one. I was complaining about this earlier. The Summit needs labels on the back of the panel so that you can see what's in the, like I can't see the panel jacks behind it. So I'm once again using my phone as a scope to remind me which inputs are which. All right, so we go MIDI. That's what, sustain and expression, and then I cannot read that. My eyes are bad too. So left mono, right. What is that though? Ugh. My eyes are terrible. Let's see. Upper main, okay, that's right. I should probably just get the manual out and reference the manual. All right, so if that's main, so we're talking, there's 2, so 2, 4, 6. All right, so it's the 5th and 6th are here. So less noise, MPC and guitar. Yeah, because it's all on one pedal, right? I watched a JHS video about the difference between surface mount and discrete components in guitar pedals. 1, 2, hang on, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't talk and think at the same time, and count at the same time, apparently. He said the only difference that he really thinks of when it comes to surface mount versus discrete components is that surface mount is quieter. So I'd imagine if you've got an all-in-one pedal, it's going to be quieter than chaining together 6 of them. So, Garen says you need either a Clocks or Eventide power system for the pedals. One box powers a bunch of pedals, all voltages and polarities done. I have, I've got a unified power system. I've got a Strymon's power supply system, and it works fine, right? But you still have to run an individual cable to each pedal, right? It's easier than having 12 wall warts, but it wears me down. Maybe I'm just too fragile. Jeff says I just have one pedal board with 12 DC outputs. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be, some people like it, right? It's like a Dallas rig, right? Some guys like having a table with 50 things on it, right? 50 modules and effects and stuff. I'm more of I like things a little simpler. Doug says, are you using long unbalanced cables or using a direct box? I'm not sure what you mean, Doug. Oh, a direct box. No, I'm using long unbalanced cables or long balanced cables. But no cable run is more than 10 feet, I think is the longest one. So, and Garen says Strymon is good. You're talking about the power. Yeah, I was okay with it. It's also in a beautiful emerald blue case, right? So, hold on a minute. Color, man. Color matters. All right, left mono is 5 and right is 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one's mono. This is left. So who has a robot claw in their studio? Anyone? I bet Garen does. This is the I don't have to bend over claw, is what this is. Because climbing under here, I'm getting too old for this. Yeah, like, all right, so this is a 10-foot cable and it needs to run 2 feet, right? So this is the place where it would probably be better if I had actually made a custom length cable. But, oh well. It's gonna be spaghetti. And there is the right channel. Karen says he likes the multi-effects, mostly for convenience. I've never really, the last multi-effect pedal I used was something from Line 6, but it was way back in the pod era, and it was for my bass, back when I played a physical bass. There we go. I will probably get under here on hands and knees at some point in the future and coil these up a little bit. So, I don't know. Let's see. Sometimes Donna steals it. Nice. I make my children help fish cables. Nice. My child has launched, so no such luck. My child is supposedly coming for Christmas Eve, and then we'll do our family traditions like watch Claws, and we'll watch Prep and Landing, right? Because I'm in my 50s and I still like watching those, so the 23-year-old is okay with it. Certain traditions. Although their generation doesn't like Ralphie, A Christmas Story. Something about the bully scene or something. I don't know. Doug says, remember reading about NASA using products from the company you work for on the Artemis mission. Very interesting. Yeah, a lot of people use MATLAB. A lot of people hate MATLAB, right? So, you know, there's a balancing act there. It's okay. It's I know a lot of professionals who, when you say MATLAB, they have like, you know, post-trauma, whatever, PTSD. So from their university days, but Garen likes the TC Plethora X3. I don't know that one. I'll have to look it up. I'm not shopping for effects or pedals right now. So small, simple. I am looking for a compressor, a dual channel compressor. I updated, where is it? Here. I updated this thing. The firmware, so I bought this a year ago. Can't know if you can see this. That is the Endorphin's Golden Master pedal. Sort of an end of chain compressor, EQ, limiter thing. And it worked fairly well, but it was kind of noisy. It was noisier than I liked. And so I put it on the shelf and was disappointed. And then I went looking for a new compressor, a new end of chain like compressor. And while I was shopping around, someone said the firmware on this has been updated and they addressed the noise issue. I'm not sure how firmware will update a noise issue, but allegedly it will. That's the case. So before I go shopping, I'm going to give that a try, but I got to wait for Christmas to get all this stuff running. So wish me luck. We'll see how it goes. All right, that's 3. All right, so third wave. I think the third wave's balanced. Let's see. Third wave is unbalanced. All right, and then the SD1 is unbalanced, and the Kadamo, I don't know. I actually have the manual for the Kadamo floating around here somewhere. There we go. Why hardware compressor versus in the box? So I use in the box for most of the streams, Jeff, but sometimes when I want to use the matriarch modular rig with the Norns, I don't know, I just want to, sometimes I don't want to use the box, right? Sometimes I just want to dump a camera feed from Video Ninja and an audio feed from the modular directly into the streaming system and not mess with in the box compression. I don't know. It's an experiment. We're exploring. We'll see how it goes. Originally, I bought the pedal for End of Chain because I was doing live DAW-less jams a year and a year ago. So that's why I bought it originally. So. Garen says there was a Symmetrix dual in the picture you showed on the Discord. I did see that. I don't know if the photo shows that, but those racks are so beat up. They look like they've been through a bomb blast. But although Ben pointed out there's a Warm Audio single channel compressor in there that looked interesting. And I asked them, I said, do you have another one? They were like, no, but you should buy one and then hopefully we'll get another one. And I was like, yeah, no. So. Uncle Chrome, hey, my kid is taking a MATLAB class in January. What are they in university, Paul? Are they in college? Are they undergrad, grad? Are they in like high school? FMR Audio RNC 1773 is the compressor you want. Okay, noted. I will add it to the list. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Firmware that bricks the box reduces noise to 0. Yeah, this is true. All right, let me check the manual here. I've got this Kodamo Mask 1 sitting here, which is a really great weird synth. If you're interested in something, if you're looking around at synths and you're like, yeah, okay, analog, blah. Okay, yeah, virtual analog, blah. You know, maybe it's like, oh yeah, another FM synth. If you want something that's like different again, this one's cool. This Kodamo Mask 1. It's pretty neat. And I think they've got a desktop module now. It's very performance oriented. Let's see. Do you have balanced or unbalanced outputs? Kodamo Mask 1. Here's a race. I'm reading the manual. You guys ask the internet. Does the Kodamo Mask 1 have balanced outs? It's Kodamo, Kodamo. The internet will probably be faster. There we go. They're balanced. Did you win? I think I beat you then. Okay. Or the latency. We can call it a tie. All right, Garen, we'll call it a tie because there's probably about 30 seconds worth of latency there. But I did find it. It's on page 9. Balanced. All right. That's a good sign. Like, 3 years ago when synth manufacturers weren't doing anything multi-timbral and we were all complaining, the old ones who remember the elder days of Roland multi-timbral synths and stuff like that, we were complaining, well, now they're doing it, right? So if we complain enough about having unbalanced versus unbalanced inputs, maybe they'll all start doing it. That's one of my very few marks against the groove synthesis third wave, since it has unbalanced outputs. But maybe I'm just being OCD or anal retentive. Doug says, have you ever considered using Imaginando VS for visuals during streams? You could. I don't know. I use it for videos whenever I do viz. Like the last video I put out a week or two ago used Visual Synth for about half of what you see going on there. Is the stuff that's synced to the instruments is all Visual Synth, and I'm feeding it MIDI. So that is what I do. I instantiate it in Live as a plugin. That's how I make those visualizations. Undergrad math, Paul. That's cool. Nice. They're using MATLAB, so what are they studying? Linear algebra? Something like that? That's what it's good at, among other things. Oh, nice. So we were racing. That's fine, Garen. Uncle Chroma, you'd like to noodle on a mask? It's fun. It's very fun to play. It's super opinionated. So the mask one, I did a little video about it after I spent like a couple hours with it. I need to get back around to do a OneSynth video on it. The mask one is super, super opinionated. So like when you're scrolling through the parameters and you want to change a parameter, we're used to having like at least 128 options, right? From 0 to 127, generally on a synth parameters, you know, because we can map it to CCs at that point. So you'd expect that. But on the Kadamo, most of the parameters only have like 16 options. And it's not, and I'm not talking like filter frequency, but parameters for like curves and parameters for like variance on delay times and things like that, and reverb depths and things like that. They go in and they have decided, they've curated the curves and they've curated the parameter values so that it's a limitation that you just have to let go and say, okay, I'll dial in one of what you say are the right or best values for this. I can see how it could really annoy people. Nord does the same thing in some of its effects, its audio effects. But yeah, it's super, super opinionated. But I gotta say, it's super playable. So like the curves they've picked for like velocity curves and the, you know, just the, it just feels really good. So I highly recommend it. Although if you get the desktop module, you won't pick up the velocity curves, I don't think. But yeah, all balanced outputs are not. Yeah, so the Summit has pseudo balanced outputs, right? But it's not true balanced. I don't know what the pseudo means, but they're explicit in their manual. They say the Summit has, finger quotes, pseudo balanced outputs. One of you EE people can explain that one to me. All right, so this is, all right. All right, once again, we gotta use the scope so I can see what I'm looking at back here. Let's see. All right. Oof. I'm in that weird in-between eye place where some of my eyes are good and some of my eyes are not. It's like the distance I'm like in between. So phones, main stereo out one, left and right. All right, so it's phones is the first jack. All right. All right, let's see. That's left and that's right. There we go. Now will that reach? Yeah, that should reach. Sweet. Pardon me while I do a dance here. Now, if you're hanging out because you're hoping to hear these synths, you're not going to hear them tonight. So, like I said, I'm waiting for an audio interface that's sitting under the Christmas tree. So tonight I'm just wiring them up blind. So, fair warning. All right. Let's see. Are the pi chords pseudo-balanced? Are you sure? Hang on, I've got a note that doesn't indicate whether they're balanced or not. Hold on. I mean, that indicates that, I thought. Hang on a minute. Nope. Hang on. Balanced. My notes say that the wave state, the mod wave, and the op6 are truly balanced. Are they? Are they? I don't know. I don't know where I found this, but I had written it down a year or two ago, so I could be wrong. Matrices and stats. All right. I understand, Garen. Hey, Steve Smith. Greetings from Australia. What's the weather like? Is it hot? It was actually hot here yesterday. We had like this weird heat wave come through and melt all the snow, and we got a huge thunderstorm. And I actually wore shorts because it was warm enough in the house. It was too warm. So anyway, but welcome. Let's see. Let's see. I could count all 6 high school math facts I retained on the fingers of one hand. That's cute. What are those boxes on the desk that look like Cat 5 couplers? These? I assume you mean these? These are iLouds or iCloud. They're cloud lifters, basically. They'll take a dynamic mic and then phantom power, and they'll add like 25 decibels of gain to it. They're a convenient tool. If you're going to use like an SM58, but you want to treat it like a condenser, which I don't actually recommend, but you can, those will bump the gain like 25 decibels by adding phantom power. They're not according to Korg. That's cool. I'm still going to use the balance cables because I have these beautiful, so the Korgs are over in the corner and they're not changing. That little Bobby and the Corgi stuff is in the corner behind the camera with all the Pi Korgs in there, and they have balance cables and they're working fine. So. I also use radial DIs. So this mic is running through a radial AV DI, basically. The other end of this little Rode lav thing is plugged into a Pro AV2, and that's running into a little Motu M4. It works awesome. Radial stuff is expensive, but man, is it worth it. I agree. A Spec X summing mixer. So some of you may know the story of the Spec mixer insanity that occurred over the last year. So a guy named Tony lives in Chicago. What's Tony's, remind me what Tony's handle is. It's Noise Theorem. This guy Noise Theorem. And he sent me a DM on Discord, and he sent me a link because one of the locally Craigslist, someone was selling this Spec summing mixer. It's like a $6,000 mixer, and it needed some work, and they're selling it for $500 with the power supply. And basically I'm like, hey man, if you Venmo me $500, I'll go pick it up, and then we'll work out how to get it to you. So he's like, done. Sends me the money. I go down, buy it, comes back. The thing weighs more than my car. I mean, it's a steel box with sharp corners, and it weighed, I think the final shipped weight was like 35 pounds. And so we spent a year going back and forth with me saying, do you want me to ship this to you? How do you want me to ship this to you? And then for a while there, he was like, maybe I'll come visit. I want to go to Boston anyway, and I'll pick it up and then bring it home. So that was sort of in limbo for a while. And periodically I would ping him or he would ping me. Eventually, after a year, I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to pack the hell out of this thing and I'll ship it to you. And so I ended up putting like high density foam in there. I cut up, those, they're like 3-inch thick high density foam pads for exercise. Like you can kneel on them and they absorb all that. They also sell them for like gardening supplies and stuff like that. for kneeling on the rocks and stuff, protect your knees. So I bought a couple of those, cut them up into sort of risers for this mixer to sort of lift it up in the box and sort of position it in the center. And then use these expanding foam packs to sort of, you pop them and then put them in there and then close the box, and they expand to fill the volume of the box, but they're within this sort of stretchy bag so it doesn't cover all your stuff with foam. And basically ended up making what was effectively a safe out of foam, and then ended up shipping it to him. And it's arrived safely, and he was happy, and I haven't heard anything. I think he's looking into getting it refurbed. And I think it costs like $1,500, what it'll cost him to have it turned around. But even at the end of that, he's paid $2,000 for like a $6,000 mixer. So he seems happy. But let's see. Gold-plated cables. Those gold-plated USB cables, man. Everyone needs them. I do like radial. All right, I'm getting caught up here. Yeah, they are reliable. I've had the same radial, this Pro AV2, for like 12 years. Never had a problem with it. I have one of their reamp boxes as well. Doug, you met Tony. Cool. Nice. Oh, you went to NobCon last fall? This year, I guess, 2025? When Garen went. Did you meet Garen? Anyway. All right. Next. Okay, Kadamo's balanced. See if I can get this done. This is going to get embarrassing. All right, so here's a sanity check. So my office I don't have a lot of RF. So I can use a 6-foot instrument cable pair, or I could use a 20-foot balance cable pair and have huge spaghetti on the floor. At this point, I'm kind of leaning towards instrument cable, even though it's unbalanced. Any strong opinions? See, the French know what they're doing too, because this Kadamo, it's got labels at the top so who has labels? Nords have labels on the top of the panel for what jacks are behind it. The Kadamo does, as does the Ensoniq, right? So quality, Nord, Kadamo, Ensoniq. They win on labeling their jacks on the top of the panel. So, but I want a right angle cable. You never have enough 90-degree cables. You always have you're just shy 1 or 2, right? But so far, I've had enough. Six foot is fine. I think so too. Hey, Soup. Welcome aboard. How's it going, man? I did not make it to the last meetup, but I sure regret it. I heard a lot of cool stuff happen. I might get to it next month, or whenever the next one is. Left. Left, 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 left. Left. There we go. Left. And right. What is it in? I don't know what left and right are in French. Anyone know? I know it in German. It's links and recht. Yep. All right, and then I think the Ensoniq is not. I think we've decided we're just going to keep using instrument cables is what we're going to do. All right, main outs. Left and right. Left. And then right. All right, that's all of them. Let's see. Let's power it up. We won't be able to hear it, but we'll see if I get levels on the interface. Okay, so in the boot speed race, Ensoniq SD1 comes in first, followed by the Summit, came in second place as far as who comes up and is playable faster. The Karamo might have been faster. I thought it was still doing boot stuff, but it's actually scrolling the name of the preset on its display. I'm still waiting for the Groove Synthesis to start up. The Hydrasynth is up, the Nord is up. The Groove Synthesis is definitely the slowest because it's booting, then it's loading all the wavetables, then it's loading any samples that I've got in there. So remember the days when you would turn on a synth and it would go blink and it would just work. Gauche in, oh man, I don't know how to pronounce that, Doug. Droit? French R. I don't know how to say that. I'll go ask Google to speak it for me. Wheel in the O-scope and let's take some measurements. I just, that's sitting under the tree as well, is, what is it, the Korg, the little Korg oscilloscope is the kit. That's a gift from my wife. It's in my stocking. I'm looking forward to that. So I don't know as far as oscilloscopes go if that is good or not, but it's cute and you build it yourself. It's a fun little project, right? Hey, David Knight. Do you still see yourself with a lot of hardware after retirement? I'm still like 12 years away from retirement. So yes, I don't imagine ever getting rid of hardware. So I've scoped everything down. So in the closet back there are a few modules that I'm selling. So there's an Iridium module, there's a Prophet 12 desktop, there's a Cobalt 8M. Great synths, I like having them in the collection, but I'm getting rid of all the desktop modules and I'm only keeping keyboards with 4 or more octaves. And it's a space constraint thing, right? It's like cutting down on the number of synths I can have. It helps a little bit with Feng Shui. I am keeping all of the Korg Pi synths, the Raspberry Pi Korgs, because all of the ones I have were actually based on a unit with a keyboard. I just did the modification that removed the keyboard and turned them into desktop modules. But they're over there, and they're special, so I'll keep those. But any new synth purchases, got to have 4 octaves, and you know, we'll see what comes out. Ideally, multi-timbral, so we'll see. Let's see. Garen, left and right are Gaussian joint. Ensoniq's #1. Ensoniq is definitely, I think Ensoniq is, or was, well, I would love it if Ensoniq would get rebooted, right? I would love to see someone like pick up the name, but more importantly, the spirit of that. But in order to do that, you got to do your own chip design, right? Because that's what they were doing, right? Ensoniq was Ensoniq because they had sand benders in there, you know, silicon lithographers. They were doing their own chip design. They were making custom stuff. And that's why they got bought, right? EMU bought them, or whoever bought them. I think, what did they partner with EMU, or the EMU bought them and then Creative Labs bought them or something like that. I don't remember how it ended, but they got bought because people wanted those chips, you know. So, hey, Electronic Composer, greetings. I am rewiring the studio, yeah, so that's what's going on. It's all synth chat and rewiring tonight. Doug says, would you ever use a central power conditioner or a UPS? I used to have a UPS in the studio. My problem with it was that it was a pain to maintain keep it happy, right? Like it wanted a USB connection to a computer so it could alert us if the power went out and notifications and all that. It's just a pain. I don't have a problem with power conditioning in this house, luckily, and we have had very few very few outages. And I have measured the draw for the entire studio back a little over a year ago. I hooked everything up to power strips, then chained all the power strips down into another power strip like star pattern, and then ran it all off of one plug in the wall. Every piece of gear, every computer, everything. And the entire thing, once it was running, drew less than 3 amps. And so at that point I was like, okay, the synths I have and the stuff I've got, at least when it's running, I didn't like test it and measure it as things were starting up, because when they start up I think it can draw like a spike. But I didn't turn it on with one master switch, like to power everything on. I would go through a sequence. And the power draw was so low, relatively speaking, that I'm not that concerned about it, Doug. So that's the state of the world. Jeff, I look forward to seeing the Christmas tree picture. So, what Nord is that? That's a Nord Wave 2. It's the only sampler I have, and I like it. And it's not really a sampler, it's a sample playback machine. You load samples into it that you record anywhere else. So, but it's super simple. It's a very friendly sampler. So, hey, Tactical MIDI, greetings. Let's see, Garen says, Emu bought Ensoniq in Solnique, right? Which was almost immediately bought by Creative. Yeah. Emu assigned Ensoniq? The ESP2 chip was, yeah, that's the effects chip, wasn't it, out of there? It was weird. It was sad, but I would love to see Ensoniq get rebooted, right? And I want the people who would reboot it have that same spirit. I want them to be doing their own lithography. I want them to build their own chips. You know, that would be super cool. I don't know how feasible that is in today's economy, in today's business world, but is that how it happened, Paul? Okay. Emu Paris was just repainted Emu Paris stock. Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's see if we're getting levels here. Hang on a second. Let's see. Here we go. I'm just looking at the meter here. I see something. Let's do another one. I see something. You're not going to hear anything. Yep, that's working. Although it's complaining that there's no clock, because the clock in there is set right now from a previous session. It's set to take clock through an AVB stream, and there's nothing on the other end right now. There's no interface there. So there's levels, volume, up. Yep. Yep. All right. So, yay. So what'll happen is on Christmas morning, I'll go unwrap an interface, do Forced Family Fun, and then come in here and drop a Motu 848 in that rack, connect the Ethernet cable coming from that, the Ethernet cable coming from there, that's already running, waiting there. That'll plug into the back of that 848. And there'll be a dance of configuration. And then we'll feed these little KRKs and the sub underneath it from that interface. So we can just play any of these synths willy-nilly when we feel like it. I'm not worried about sequencing that stuff right now. I just want them to be there to be playable, because I want to be able to walk up to anyone as quickly as possible, turn it on, and just do sound design by just standing here and doing sound design on any of these 6 synths. Save what I'm doing. That's the goal, right? And then this flat surface over here that's currently a mess, this is normally just an empty flat horizontal surface that I use, that I will simply pull a synth off, put it down here if I want to use it in a composition or something like that. I have floating around, I have a couple of these. So we've got an 8-port USB MIDI hub and a splitter. If I ever wanted to get these wired in permanently, I could. And I might one day. I used to run that way, but there was, I don't know, it just wasn't super productive. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But underneath that camera is the sort of main streaming rig, the push, and the Ableton Mac is over there with the Korg, the Pi Korgs. And so that may become a control hub. We can AVB that into the 848. That'll give it access to the 24 AI. And so eventually it'll potentially, I could route it so that everything's all in one box, but we'll see. Let's see. A Synths by the Sea. Hey, another Australian. Nice. I guess it's that time. Everybody's waking up, right? Where does bright and sunny? That's fine. Thanks. It's a mess, right? But it's getting there. This will be a project for some point in time over vacation before the new year. I'll do probably some streamer video where we get the modular running on this, but there's a bunch of work to be done here. This is system building. Like, I want to use the matriarch to play as a performance surface and a voice, but inside the modular, I've got 3 more voices and 3 sequencers. And so I want to do some like more traditional Berlin School stuff using this rig. This is going to become the sort of modular, hybrid modular Berlin oriented thing. And I've got a Norns that I'm going to use as like post-processing on it. So I don't know. It's like, this is a pile of ideas waiting to go somewhere. So, but that may happen before the first of the year. It may happen later in the year. We'll see what happens. Paul, you're out of here. Have fun, man. Let's see. Watch more Severance. I just don't have, I don't have control of my TV in my home. So my TV does 2 things. It plays Taylor Swift reaction videos and NFL games. That's what my wife is into. So anyway, all right, so that works. We'll leave the blinking lights up for now. What remains? I think we're good. I'm gonna need, that's gonna come there to there. I'm gonna need a longer, I think it's balanced. All right, that'll stay here for now. Consider this assignment for later. These can all get wrapped up again. I think we're done with this, with the unbalanced cables for the night. Jeff says you don't control your TV either. That's right. So people are like, have you seen this show? Or they talk about Severance or all the various shows. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't work in my house. I'm still sitting on, I have a bunch of Prime Video movies that I bought and added to the collection, fully intending to watch them, and I still haven't watched them. So I'm sitting on like the most recent Superman movie, the one with the dog. I've only seen the opening 5 minutes of that. I'll get around to watching that one of these days. Do you have a smart TV? I do, but I've got the smartness turned off. I don't care for smart TVs because nowadays the smart TVs know too much about me and they keep giving me commercials. I don't like the targeted commercials, so I typically turn them off the smart. I say, no, shut up. Just give me what I'm asking for, nothing extra. Don't infer what you think I need, you know? Bugs me. So, but, you know, my father, I think, likes his smart TV. So. We don't watch a whole lot of TV, Garen says, but you generally watch the same thing. Yep. If you can't agree, there's two TVs. For me, if she's watching something I'm not interested in, I just pull my laptop up and I will watch, I'll see you guys, or I will be on Discord or work on some music or something like that. Or I'll play a game. So what am I playing right now? I recently got back into this old game called Cult of the Lamb, which is it's sort of like a village simulator combined with an action beat 'em up, and you play a cult leader who's forming a cult and you do bad things. It's terrible. It's a really fun game. It's well done. It's by, I can't remember the publisher now. Anyway, it's on Steam. It's called Cult of the Lamb. Super fun. All right. Let's see. That's the last of the tea. All right, those live in there. That can stay there. I'm kind of cleaning up. We're getting there. So I have way too many computers in this room. And so there's this keyboard is for controlling this module, all right? So that keyboard runs into this module. And then we've got this keyboard here, which controls this machine. That's the streaming rig. And then there's another keyboard over here that lives on a retooled music stand. One of these things. If you ever play violin in 4th grade, you're familiar with these. That is that's the keyboard and mouse for the performance rig with the push and the Ableton push and the Ableton Mac Mini. So the other is a dumb TV. I get that. All right, so those will live under there. All right. I think we're getting close. This chair lives here. Just goes over there. There we go. Here's our throne for this. This lives over here typically. So that's like the station for the matriarch semi-modular stuff. That's all that. And I have to move it out of the way when we're doing this stuff. I need to hook the sub up. There's a subwoofer under there. This room acoustically is garbage. I generally don't use any of the speakers. I do all my production in headphones. But the speakers are there for when I just want to play something loud, like off my phone, musically. Or they're there so that when guests are here and they're like, can we play with the synths? They don't have to put headphones on. They can just turn the speakers on and they can have at it, right? So, hey, Quasar. Hi, 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 and hey, hey, hey. I think all that is a derivative of Mr. Hopkins, right? Anyway. All right, that's all that. This is here. So we upgraded our Christmas lasers. So one of the things we do is we shine lasers into the trees around our house during the Christmas season, like green and red lasers. And they're they're moving. And so it looks like fairy lights we're in a forested area, like our neighborhood is full of trees. And two of the sets of lasers that we had died, right? They're, Home Depot clearance, $25 for this thing. And they died because there's a wall wart adapter on like a 6-inch leash coming out of them, and they got wet and they totally shorted out. And so last year when I put them away, I just sort of dumped them in a bin. And this year when I was pulling them out, I was like, oh, that's right, these blew up. And so I ordered more lasers for about the same price off of Amazon. And they arrived, and they're a third the size. So like these old lasers are like about the size of a football, right? They're, it's a stake in the ground and a thing that looks kind of like that, but a little bit more barrel shaped. You know, think like a cantaloupe, a tube you could drop, like a tennis ball tube, but big enough for a cantaloupe. That's what the old lasers were like. These new ones, I swear, they're this big. The laser head is like it's the size of this thing with a cute little stand. And whoever designed it got smart, and now instead of having a 6-inch power lead on it, it's got a 6-foot power lead. And everything is sealed with washers, so there's no way you can have it can get wet and it won't die. And they're all like way brighter with more features and more colors. I'm super stoked. So the trees in our neighborhood look like a Disney movie right now. It's awesome. So yard sale. No yard sale. Pluribus? Yeah. What network is Pluribus on? There's all these shows that have titles that I don't know what it means. So Severance, Pluribus, Slow Horses was popular a year or two ago. People were like, you gotta watch Slow Horses. So I will post pics of the trees in the Discord. It's pretty cool. I'm liking it. Although we keep when we put all the lights on, we go to bed, we leave them on at night, and waking up in the middle of the night to pee, and there's all these lights shining in the house. It's very Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or is there a cop outside? What cops use red lights? What's going on? These red things are shining in the window. Then you remember, oh, it's the laser. So anyway, so I think I'm done for tonight. So we got all the rewiring done, and things have power, and we're seeing it on the interface, so that's good. Let me shut these down actually. And we're just waiting for Christmas to come by and get us access to the AVB interface. And that'll be nice. And then we can use it all in a stream maybe, or make some noise. So thanks for hanging out. Christmas Udo. The Udo domino looks pretty interesting. I still like the Super Gemini. I'd like a Super Gemini. My problem with the domino is it doesn't have enough keys and it doesn't have enough voices. So if you're going to be multi-timbral, it's 2-part multi-timbral, I think, or is it 4? I don't know, but it's got 2 layers, I think. But it's only got 8 voices, so that bugs me. Anyway, I think that'll do. Let me sit down and see if I missed anything in the chat that I need to pay attention to. I don't think so. And the audio's fine. This little lav thing, this Rode, I've been testing that out. It seems to work pretty well. I'm not sure how much room tone it is, if it's super, again, the acoustics of this room are terrible. There's no absorption, there's no diffusers. It's very live. All right, that's it. Cool. Quasar says Domino is a mono synth. Not worth thinking it's a poly. Yeah, I kind of agree there. It's a dual mono. It's paraphonic. Nice. Garen, good luck with your lavs. I know you don't like lav mics, but I thought your studio sounded fine, but your intention of quality is higher than mine is, I think. So, all right, folks, I think everybody here's a gent. I didn't see anyone who wasn't a gent come in. But if there are ladies as well, folks, gentlemen and ladies, I am going to call it a night. You all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I am on vacation, so I may stream a bit more on and off, but we'll see where it goes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.